Hey guys, Dan here alongside Joe. We're going to talk about Freaks and Geeks, the classic Freaks and Geeks Friday. We're almost halfway through the series, I believe.
Wow.
I feel like this is episode 8, maybe?
Sounds right.
7 or 8,
Seven
and
or
there's, let's see.
seven.
This is episode 8.
Oh,
We are
wow.
halfway through. Because
Oh.
there's 18 total, so...
Wow.
Well, I guess technically 9 then would be halfway. So next week will be the halfway mark.
So Freaks and Geeks didn't even get the full 22. That's 24.
No, not at all. And we're more than halfway through the ones that they aired originally. So
you know about it.
So this is Girlfriends and Boyfriends. And we just mentioned off air, geek heavy for once. We haven't had too many recent geek episodes.
Yeah, the last couple have been very centered around the Freaks, which has been good.
Yeah.
A lot of good character development stuff, more drama, a lot of interesting things for Lindsay and for Nick and their soon-to-be budding romance. We might get to talk about that more. But yeah, as you know, I kind of liked that in the beginning it was much more focused on the geeks and very fun. So I was missing them a little bit.
So now you have a full, very big plot line about the geeks.
Very big.
Specifically Sam.
Actually, big
and
subversion.
Cindy.
Yeah, Sam and Cindy.
But before we get to the synopsis, this is
weird
fresh
trivia.
for you. So
I watched it like a couple hours
I watched it
ago.
about 4 days ago, or 5 days ago. So I looked at a refresher to remind myself of some things.
Refresher course.
But no, I wanted to tell you that I bought that game Pit.
You got the Pit.
Of course. I ordered it that night on Amazon, and and I played it the other day. And we actually had 3 people, and it's still, you really need a lot of people. I could see how 2 people it would suck for, as they said in the show.
As restrictions get loosened over time, you want to get people together and try to...
Yeah, come on over for some Pit night. We'll do that. We'll play Pit, and then we'll watch Moneyball. Brad Pitt. Okay? Actually, I did just get Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on Blu-ray, and it's got some extras. So maybe we should do a Pit night. Pit the game, and then we watch Pit in Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, I was going to say, we definitely played the game before, because we watched the 3-hour movie, you're not going to feel like
then
playing
you're
the
tired.
game. Oh, who wants to play the Pit? Nobody.
Yeah. This went off the rails immediately.
We were like, oh, it's going to be a short one. I don't even...
but anyway, I did get the game,
cool.
and we played it, and I think it's better with more people, but... I thought it was actually pretty fun.
Okay.
So I agree with Sam's dad.
You know what?
On that one.
Wolf of Wall Street would be appropriate too. That's Leo.
That's Leo only, not Pitt.
But we learn about the Pit.
That's true. We learn about the money pit. Tom Hanks. All right, so let's talk about this episode before we
4 minutes
go
in.
too wildly off track again. So let's hear. We've got really, both of the Weir children are having relationship dealings in this episode.
Correct.
We have some jealousy on Sam's part because he thinks Bill's horning in maybe a little bit. You can talk about that. What do you want to talk about first? The geeks or the freaks? It's girlfriends and boyfriends. So should we talk about the geeks story first with the girlfriend?
No.
Okay.
I actually
save the best for last.
I think that the girlfriend part with Sam and Cindy actually interested me more. For a couple reasons, mostly because I thought it was a little subversive. Not saying that Lindsay and Nick was bad; it was actually very good. But I was interested in the direction they went with Sam.
Okay.
With let's talk about Lindsay and Nick first.
Okay.
Basically,
no Rogan again.
Yeah, I was waiting for him like
every other episode.
That when him and James Franco were talking, I'm like, okay, so he's not going to be in the corner here. Very inconsistent.
Can you believe he's in the opening credits and Busy Phillips is not? She's in every episode. Except for one.
I'm glad this is considered one of his starting shows too, but I'm like, I wish he'd get an episode. This guy's
he's not in it very much. I know.
That's a shame. But yeah, basically, directly continuing after the previous episode with the kiss, and they're kind of pretty much solidifying whether or not they're going to be together. The episode opens up with, which I kind of, immediately what they're going for with Lindsay kind of walking around the hallways, and everybody is making out, touching, groping each other. And, of course, there's little rumors here, like, of course, you and Kim going out. Are you and Nick going out? Kim asks her, and everybody's kind of,
pushing in that direction.
Like, suggesting they basically assume it. And, James Franco pretty much says that, too. He's a really great guy.
Right.
And he's kind of thinking, okay, it's going this direction. Even the counselor picks up on it.
Actually, yeah.
It's
Well, because he said of all the people, of all of the, he doesn't call them freaks, but of all of that group, he sees potential in Nick.
Yes.
Unlike some of the others,
which is cool. So he doesn't like trying to persuade her, but he of course will bring her in and say, okay, well I'm going to tell you about my story. Losing my virginity.
How about his story with the herpes?
True or untrue? I think it's totally BS.
That it happened to his character? I don't know.
I don't. I mean,
we never find out if it's real or not.
I don't think it's real in terms of.
I actually think it is.
I don't know because
think about it. Listen, he's in a bar band. I'm sure he sleeps with some people.
Well, okay. This is good.
You think it was just a scare tactic story?
Knowing this character, I think so. I think it is. It's because of the delivery. It's because of his deadpan delivery.
If the dad told it, I would think fake. If the dad told it, I would think, all right, this is like the story that we might talk about with his Vietnam.
With the red light district
exploits.
Oh, that's complete nonsense.
But I think the herpes story is absolutely true.
Maybe it's just because he's sharing too much information. You think that's what they're going for?
Yes, I think the gag is that he's so buddy with, especially Lindsay, but a lot of the students, that he feels comfortable sharing this very inappropriate thing about himself. No, I absolutely think it's true.
I don't think it necessarily has to be.
Okay.
But still, I like that he's like saying...
Well, for you open to interpretation?
A little bit, maybe. Kind of, saying, all right, well, be careful and handle the pamphlet.
Right.
This kind of gets her thinking, and that's pretty much like the theme of this episode for her is just kind of like, okay, going forward... There's this expectation about sex and how intimate we're going to get, and of course
has the talk with her parents.
And that's also another thing. Which the two stories overlap too because they're both dealing with relationships and attraction. So this is going to divert a little bit, but this is probably
it usually does.
This is one of the most interesting things about the episode for me was. In how the parents respond to her relationship and sex versus Sam's.
Right.
Which,
Well, I mean, I don't think they necessarily think Sam's going to be having sex.
No, but they're nowhere near as concerned, even though they could sense the possibility. Like, the dad, for instance, you could see is not as concerned about that possibility.
But is that less maybe to do with her gender and more to do with the fact that they've met some of these people.
That they met Nick.
The mom even says like, "Oh, isn't he the guy that ate all my Twizzlers?"
Fruit roll-ups.
Or fruit roll-ups, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Mom, like you gave him the okay, like he's a good dude, like
yeah, but still eat all my fruit roll-ups."
Yeah. So do you think maybe that has to do with it, or do you think it's more gender-based?
It's a combination.
Okay.
But I do think that the dichotomy there was clearly shown because the dad's reaction is like pretty much after kind of meeting Sam's potential girlfriend. He thinks it's like, oh well, you're not seeing this person with basically probably not even that much memory of who he is. It's like
okay. Here's what I think
which the
about
mom
that.
is like, okay, reel it in a bit. But
I think yes, that's part of it, but also Sam is clearly not with this girl yet.
No.
Like when and we'll talk about the whole store scene later, but when he goes into the store to get the ads for the yearbook, it's clear that this is just a hope for Sam.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're that concerned, primarily because he's so at the starting line of everything, and she's off to the races with Nick. I'm sure gender maybe plays into it a little bit, but I think it's more because she is way more off and running than he is at this time.
I suppose that's true. But I think maybe it has to do with the crowd, but I thought that the reaction was very interesting. Maybe that is partially because of how far along they are. But I don't know. I think the dad was definitely much more protective of her and more encouraging of Sam.
Which is, I think, pretty typical.
Yeah, and that's
still today.
And I thought that was,
I think,
an interesting note that seemed pretty common with the gender roles.
How about his story?
His story about losing his virginity in the red light district in Korea.
Yeah,
and how sad he was. Oh, I wish I could give the $5 back.
Let me tell you about that story.
Okay.
They did take after take of that because he just improv.
Okay.
The whole story. Every time the story was completely different. Mm-hmm. There's a gag reel on the DVD of like 5 minutes of just him telling different stories. And something I learned specifically in this episode, but he really didn't like to learn lines.
Huh.
He was more, because he came from the sketch background on SCTV, so he just kind of went in there, got the basic points across, but whenever there's a scene like at the dinner table where he has to like give a speech about, oh, my friend, da 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 da, he just makes that stuff all up. For the most part. Okay. So, classic, I'd say.
He seems like a good improv guy, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you have to be if you're, with John Candy and Martin Short and all of those guys. Mm-hmm. You have to be quick on your feet, But yeah, so he did that story several different ways.
Is the version we saw the best one, you think?
I think it's up there. I mean, there was definitely a far more vulgar version.
Oh.
And then there's, a couple versions where he just kept it pretty clean. And at one point, she was just like, well, what happened? And he was like, nothing.
Nothing.
That was it.
Nothing happened.
I just had a bad feeling, and you could hear the crew laughing in the background. But, I think we got a pretty solid version of it.
Okay. Well, that's cool. But there's that reaction.
Clearly inappropriate for her. She hated it. She's getting all the stories from the adults about their inappropriate behavior.
From the counselor, from her parents.
Yeah.
She's getting so much of it, and the thing that's really good about Lindsay's character through this is that she is, for me, really selling that uncertainty and that mixture of feelings, that discomfort at times of the expectations. Mm-hmm. Like you can tell that she really doesn't know exactly how she feels and what to do. Right. Like, because she even consults her friend.
Yeah.
Millie?
Yeah.
About, which I thought was really interesting.
Millie, has a boyfriend.
And
we saw her making out with him
a couple episodes ago.
And
she also knows her from the more pure mathletes when she was being all good.
Right.
But I think it's interesting that now that she's about to go into that, she actually consoles to her old best friend for some honest advice. And I kind of thought the advice was interesting. And she wasn't like that judgmental. Right. She was just like, you got to be careful. And she wasn't so overly pushy about it. She was just like, if you have sex with him, you'll never be the same again. Yeah. So it's like thinking about it being special, kind of aligned with how she talks with her parents.
Very true.
Like, these are big things to think about if you're going to cross that line in addition to the safe sex and all that.
Well, and this is a very classic, teen show trope.
Sure, it is.
We see the virgin, losing the virginity episode in 90210 and Doogie Howser and The Facts of Life and on and on and on. But I think they did something a good bit different with it.
Well, and I'm going to say it again, Dan. I mean, see if you can remember if I'm a broken record. What do I think is great about how they do it?
The realism.
It seems like she seems like, I feel like this is how a teenage girl going through this dilemma would feel. It's not like, it's a flux of things, and she's not automatically, like some girls might feel much more confident about it, but this is probably much more common.
Well, and I think the conclusion of that storyline
I thought it was good.
Is a lot more realistic, and look, sometimes people do it, sometimes they don't, but I think the typical TV version of doing this is very like, either they do it and then they regret it and they feel used or whatever, or they don't, but they don't because they feel guilty because they're what their parents said. Like, it's nothing internal.
Or some shows, they do it and it's fine.
It's amazing.
And then it leads to more drama later, but not necessarily.
That happens too.
Depending on
that happens as well.
Different romance
things do change, yeah.
Sure. But with this, though, I mean, I'm not going to say it was like one of my favorite scenes in the show.
Okay.
Just because, I don't know if I'd say that I found it, for entertainment value or whatever, but it was excellently done in terms of the atmosphere and the acting between her and Jason Segel. Because
You mean in that final scene where she tells him she's not ready?
They're building up to the date, and they're like, which is basically, okay, come on over to that well-lit basement once again. Yep. And she's nervous, but also kind of excited, and hoping, okay, is he going to know what to do? Is this, what's going to happen here? And of course, it comes down. All the candles are lit, which was
he
nice.
Really did it up.
Great for the atmosphere, which is nice. But, to the girl, you're thinking, okay, what is this? And her delivery is just like, literally like it. There is some surprise. There is kind of a pleasantness to it, but also a little nervousness, a little uncertainty.
Yeah.
And almost disgust. Like, there's all these, like...
Well, and we find out from...
what is this?
From Kim earlier in the episode that, like, he is not a virgin.
No, he's
been around a couple of times, whatever.
Yes.
And so I think that's a little bit daunting to her as well, and that's something that other shows typically don't do. Typically, it's like the guy or girl on the show is with their significant other. They've been together, for 5 years, and finally it's time. And
I don't think that's that common, to be honest.
No, I think it is. I mean,
really?
Oh yeah, Donna and David on 90210, they were together for like 3 years before that happened.
I meant in real life.
I'm talking about how it's handled on TV.
Okay. That's why. But you're right.
I'm saying the commonality on TV is exactly that.
Okay.
It's that both people are like, let's figure this out together. You are my first. You're my first. Let's
the ideal situation.
The only other show I could think of that really went a very realistic route with it is Roseanne.
Okay.
When Becky, it was a whole episode about her wanting to get birth control, and so Roseanne sat down and talked to her very openly, like that show used to do.
I think I remember that
And
episode.
it was a classic episode.
Yeah.
And then Aunt Jackie joined in. But yeah, like a lot of shows, it's the guy and the girl, they've been together for 3 years, it's time.
Yeah, that's very common.
Very common.
Yeah.
And here we have,
it's
somebody
a little more one-sided.
Yeah.
And she's very nervous. And like I said, a lot of girls are probably in this situation.
Yeah.
Some guys too, perhaps. And just going down in the basement. I was watching, I'm like, wow, I do not know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
What direction they're going to take.
Keeps you on your toes.
It does. I'm like, is this going to be bad? Is this going to be like, is this going to ruin it? I was a little uncomfortable too.
Okay.
I was like, I could feel.
How about the singing?
We're getting to that.
Okay.
I know he wants to just talk about the singing.
I know, the singing.
But basically, all right, actually, okay, he's kind of basically professing his love again, and
right.
But the nicest thing about it is we see that once again Nick's quite a great
good guy,
good guy, and he's like, what, I've made the mistake of rushing into things with women, girls.
Does he lay it on though?
Dan, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right.
He
fair question. Yeah.
It's a very fair question, and he basically is like saying, okay, this is corny. Plays the song,
right.
Sings it, partially sings and talks.
Lady by Styx.
Lady by
Classic.
Styx. How I feel about you, and that he wants to just hug, and okay, all right. Once again, she's squirming throughout the whole thing. Like I like how she smiles
very
a little.
Cringy.
She smiles a little, then she's like, and then it's just.
It's a hard scene to watch.
It is because he's just.
You're in these characters' minds,
Thank you.
and you're just like, oh man.
All right, here's the thing.
What are you doing?
I thought that on one hand it was kind of sweet, and maybe some girls will like that, but I felt like it was so cringy. I was like, this is embarrassing for everyone involved.
And that was the purpose.
And
they all say it on the commentary, like, this scene is one of the most cringeworthy scenes in all of Freaks and Geeks. It was purposely designed. In fact, the song they were going to use is a song, that song My Sharona by the Knack.
Oh.
They weren't going to use that, but the Knack has a different song called Maybe Tonight. And so thematically they were going to go with that, but they wanted to go with a much more famous song so you could really... I don't know, sort of sink your teeth into the scene even more.
Gotcha.
So they went with the Sticks, but boy oh boy.
But just the character of Lindsay in terms of just writing and the performance, it's just she's so well done.
Yeah.
And like just there with her, I'm like, even as she's kind of laying there with him and hugging, and I'm like, it's like she really doesn't know how to feel about the whole thing throughout.
Right.
Even at the end, she's like. And cutting a little bit to the end, we'll get to the other intersection when she's talking to Sam, like, "Oh, you guys are going out." Yeah, I guess. Like she's pretty okay finally with the fact that they're together, but she's like not 100% sure how she feels about him.
Right. Okay. So that
she's how do I really feel about?
I have this question for you. How do you feel? What do you think she's thinking during his serenade?
What have I?
I'll tell you what. Okay, so you think it's what have I done?
No, all right. I think the way she's selling it is this: she sees a lot of good qualities in Nick. Mm-hmm. She likes him. She wants to kind of be in a relationship with him. But I mean, it's kind of like when he sent her the rose, the little note, and he can't spell. It's like it's cute, but it's a little sad.
Yes.
And she's so smart and studious.
He sends her a rose in this episode,
which is how the mom finds out. Ooh,
that's right. That's right.
And then Dad's like, "I sent a rose. I know what it means. I used to be one of those tea bags."
That's what got the ball rolling, right? For them to know everything.
Yeah, he's like, "I used to be one of those jerks, those horny."
Well, look, and I think that's another big difference between what she's going through and what Sam's going through.
Yeah, Dad's on the side,
but yes, the note is like horribly misspelled, and you can see in her face like
she's like,
"Oh, this kid."
So that's kind of it's very mixed feelings. Like I think she wants to like it because she likes the fact that he does profess this kind of feelings for her. She likes the attention. She likes it, but it's like there are things about him I don't like, and I got to figure out how I want to go forward with this if I do.
Right.
She's still really like in that moment. She's probably like, "Oh no."
But okay, so see, I think she is actually really confused about whether she wants to still tell him no, because she's a people pleaser.
Yes.
And she has a good thing going with Nick. Yeah. She obviously doesn't want to mess it up. That's why she's going to everybody and their mother for advice.
Sure.
I think in that moment she's thinking, oh my God, like this guy is really like done it up, laid it all out.
Like he's more in me than I'm in.
Yeah, like should I just go through with this? And then I think she kind of thinks about like Millie's advice and other things, and kind of thinks, okay, no, I'm gonna, I gotta tell him like I'm not there yet, kind of thing. I think she actually, though, sort of goes through I mean that's my interpretation of it. It's impossible to say, but
a lot of processing.
Yeah, because it's a lot to deal with for her.
Yeah,
she goes, she didn't expect candles, she didn't expect this, corny serenade.
I think definitely she. I definitely think she has mixed feelings, and she is overall a little overwhelmed by the feelings he's professing, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. She's still working on it, and it's kind of like one to tell him like how ready I really am for this step, and he's not pushing though. Which is great. Which is a good point.
Especially since, the incident in the second episode or whatever.
Yeah, which was a bit iffy. But he backed up. But now that we know he's been with some girls and made the moves before, that makes more sense.
Yes.
So, though, I will say, one thing, and to speak up to Nick, though, I will say he really is supportive of her. And I really like the exchange of him and James Franco. And it's like, I heard Kim got a A+ on her World Civ test. Oh no! Wait, that was my girlfriend. Wait,
he's proud of her. He wants her to succeed.
Lindsay gave the finger to her gym teacher and got detention. Oh no! Wait, that's your girlfriend. Oh well, you ever hear about the time when I punched you and bam?
I think that was a good scene. I think a lot of times we see people more in Daniel or Kim's position that are not successful maybe or whatever, and want to
bring
people down to their level.
Oh yeah.
And Nick is sort of in that limbo state where he doesn't know what he's doing. He wants to be a drummer. It's not working out. They even talk about how in this episode that band he auditioned for did find a drummer.
He's like very passionate, but has he really thought this through?
But he still is rooting for her. He's not trying to drag her down.
No.
Her successes are his successes.
She's very
or whatever.
Idolized in his mind.
Yeah.
And it's early in the relationship.
Which is nice.
It's a good thing, but it's normal.
Because we do not see that from Daniel and Kim.
No, they do not
they're
have
so
that
toxic.
Romantic. Yeah, they're kind of they're bad. They're bad for each other.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah. Very common.
Very common thing. Yeah. So it's like, and they just kind of know like he's love struck, puppy love or whatever. So they're kind of rolling their eyes about the whole thing.
But obviously they've also seen his history with other women, and I would think we haven't seen the other women. But I would think that this maybe is a little more real than that was. Like
probably
from their discussion, it seems more like hookups or just hump and dump or whatever. And with Lindsay, I think he actually has feelings. I didn't get the sense that he was like in long-term relationships with any of these other girls.
No, I didn't get that sense either. I'll be honest. When I first met the character, I didn't have the sense that he had too much experience with women in general. Like, his experience with women, or girls rather, is the opposite sex is probably there, but he's a teenager, very limited, not very sophisticated or deep. Or,
like, to me, I just kind of think, like, oh, okay, he hook up with at a party or something. Whereas, I think he has real feelings for Lindsay.
Like, has he had any long-term girlfriends? Probably not.
Probably not, right.
No.
So, all right. So that's the boyfriend's portion of the title.
Now we talk about the girlfriend.
Now we flip it and we'll talk about the girlfriend.
We did the reverse.
Yeah.
But I mean, you kind of just summarized it basically. But,
a little bit, yeah.
But I'm loving it.
I want you. Good.
I'm loving it.
There's many things I love about
this.
This
whole plot just surprised me because I was just like, this is really good. And
very good.
And I'll tell you why. All right. Well, basically, as you said, Sam's, of course, still really interested in Cindy,
right?
And they've got this new what is it they're doing in the science lab? Well, they're just lab partners, basically.
Yeah, just some kind of project. I'm not sure how specific
watched
they got with
E.T.,
it,
so I was thinking about frogs. Like, are they descending frogs again, like in E.T.? Well, wow, almost the same time.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
But yeah,
a couple years later.
Yeah, a couple years later. But yeah, they're doing that, and so he and Bill are sitting next to each other, and what is it? Gordon? What's the Gordon, the chubby kid in the back? Apparently,
well, we've seen him a couple of times climbing
in the lunchroom.
In the lunchroom,
I'm glad he got more to do.
This was like he almost had like a B or C plot in this one.
Yeah, Gordon was cool, and he's of course
one of my favorites.
He's good, and everybody says, okay, he smells bad. I don't want to be his lab partner. I hope I'm lab partners with Cindy.
Yeah.
And of course...
who becomes Cindy's lab partner?
He gets to be lab partners with the smelly chubby kid in the back, Gordon, and Bill gets to be
good old Bill
partner with Cindy. And, man, does he just rub this in?
He eats it up.
Oh, man.
He is just using this to
just
make Sam jealous.
I'm gonna bring her over to my house, and she gives me snacks. But the great thing about it though was that Bill wasn't really into her
at all.
Impressed, like
he didn't want anything really to do with her except to rub it in Sam's face.
And he realized that quickly. They kind of liked the idea, but it's like, she doesn't have any snacks, and she just likes the Muppets.
They go over and she's got like celery sticks and stuff, and carrots. And we find out later in the episode that she sort of sneaks off and eats burgers,
which is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah,
she's got.
We actually learned a lot about Cindy in this episode.
We did,
but yeah, Bill is like knocked down. She's never heard of Welcome Back, Kotter.
He's like, you've never just to make that face, the voice. And he's like, what are you doing?
Laugh.
And I'm like, what are you doing?
But then that comes up later to throw in Sam's face again because
it's so funny. I actually watched it. Yeah. She's like actually seeming like having a better friendship with him, and he's all nervous about this. Oh man, like Bill. But Bill actually, like when he's about ready to say give up on everything, he's like, oh well, I guess you guys are gonna go out. You can have her. You can marry her. It's like, hey man, I'm just saying. She says you're like the nicest guy in the whole school.
Yeah, it was nice.
That was nice.
It was nice.
But
and Bill's also turned off by her big fart.
Oh yeah, she
her
cuts
big
the cheese.
Chair fart.
And Sam can't believe it. She's a pretty girl.
Yes,
they don't fart.
Yes,
that was a great scene too because I didn't expect this because there was a fart, right?
Yeah,
and I thought it was him, because it seemed more likely.
Right.
But then she's like, oh no, it's the chair. It just makes it squeak, and he's like, wait, was that me? Wait, was that her?
Yeah.
And he goes over, sits in the chair, and
tries several times.
Like,
just
dawns on him
around.
She was lying.
Yeah,
she farted.
They worked very hard apparently to get a sound effect that would sound exactly not like a chair, so that it was very obvious that came from her, and that she was lying.
That was pretty great.
And it just added to the humor that he then, tried to recreate the sound and couldn't do it.
But the cool thing about that is too, while Bill's laying it on thick, the whole episode pretty much, which is really great. Actually, Sam, gets some advice from Gordon about trying to. He's got a lot of very insightful about relationships.
What a kid!
Yeah, it's like knows what's up. Like, hey, you should just kind of figure out what her schedule is.
He calls him out right away. He's like,
I
know you don't want to be lab partners with me. You want to be with Cindy.
What do you mean? Well, it's obvious you like her.
Yeah.
Like, just like, dang, just like tells her
he
what's
just
up.
laid it out.
Laid it out, tells her, and he's like, tells him like, okay, get involved in some extracurricular activities, and joins the yearbook club.
Right.
By the way, did you love how she's pitching like a poem or something about how difficult high school is, and the guy's like,
hated it.
Everybody hates it. Sam's trying to copy. Even the teacher's like, okay, thanks, Sylvia Plath. But
that's not what we need.
But look, we're trying to sell yearbooks here, build advertising. We can't tell the truth, okay?
Right. Yeah. He literally says that.
That was great.
Yeah.
Oh man. They kind of trying to join up and sell a yearbook.
That's one of their dads, by the way. I think it's John Francis Daly's dad.
Oh, is it?
That plays the yearbook advisor. Yeah,
I liked that.
So,
but Sam uses his hookup to say, okay, well maybe we can go to my dad's store, or we can get some help there, and that's where he interacts with his dad, and he's like...
Okay, now, before we even get there...
Oh, man.
First, they're on their way there.
On their way there.
And she talks about having her period.
Oh, yeah, just casually.
Just casually. So we're learning, like...
Oh, and she's like, oh, you know, like, people put you into these, these...
like boxes.
Boxes. Yeah. Say, like, I'm a cheerleader, I'm expected to be happy-go-lucky all the time. Sometimes I'm cranky, like, I just had my period. And he's all like, what?
Why I mean, you can guarantee he's never heard a girl
just openly
say
talk
that.
about that.
Yeah. And so I think, God, that makes her character, first of all, so human.
Yes.
But so quirky. Like, we find out more in that scene about her character than we've seen so far. Because obviously with Bill, she was like trying to cover up the fart. Like, oh, I don't fart.
Yeah, like
but now she's talking about her period, which is kind of a taboo thing. Yeah, certainly for a 14-year-old in the 80s to talk about. Basically,
from Sam's perspective, she's like this angel,
right.
But he doesn't really know her, and, we begin to see a bit more. No, she's a person, and she's not perfect or anything, but that's kind of what makes her more likable in a way we know
it makes her more likable to me, for sure.
Oh, yeah, and she's great. And I love that she's enthusiastic about the yearbook sales, and just like, oh man, like, we're selling them for this price. And Dad's like, oh, that's a complete ripoff.
Yeah, then they get to the
Sam's
store.
just like looking at Dad like, oh yeah, I'll buy a whole page.
I'm so glad he picked up on the look.
I really like that. And then they go over to the counter and sign up. It's like, oh, like you'll do better if you spread apart. Just go separate routes. And
he gives her this eye of like, what the F are you talking about?
Why are you screwing up my life? And he's like, oh, but some of the best salesmen work to get better together. And of course she goes with splitting up again. He's like, see you later, Dad.
Thinking on his feet, though. I mean, he was trying to help once he realized he kind of messed up.
I did like that the dad was not completely oblivious. Like, I got you. So it was cool. He was trying to help him out in subtle little ways.
My favorite line of the episode might be where they enter the store and he's having the conversation with the customer.
Oh, the balls.
And then he says, "Oh, good luck on your bomb shelter."
The bearded guy. Somebody put the balls out of order.
He's real mad about that.
Setting the basketballs up or whatever, his sports goods store.
So apparently that comes from Paul Feig's life. His dad owned.
Oh, really?
It was more like a hardware store, but it was laid out apparently exactly the same way as this. Mm-hmm. So this, was speaking to him directly. But
gotcha.
But yeah, I love that we actually got to see the store. We've heard it mentioned in a few different episodes.
And apparently, I guess, obviously, he's like, oh, when did you join your book club, like today? And this was apparently a quick change of plans he didn't let his dad know about because he was supposed to work after.
Oh, that's right.
So I guess it's a family business. Sometimes Sam helps out in the store.
Yeah.
That's new.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, we hadn't heard much about that yet.
So you can buy your, what were they, the Micronauts. If you want to buy the Micronauts, you got to pay for them.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, little details, but...
What a great dad.
Great dad. I love every time we get to go into the Geeks room and Sam's room, see little things.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I saw the Jaws poster in the back. That was good. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
There was also
he has a nice designed room for a geek,
and
for sure.
Gordon goes in, nice covers.
Oh, yeah.
Force be with you. Because
he starts doing little bits for him.
That was good. And I like the fact that, obviously, kind of judging by appearances or whatnot, but Sam kind of not only gets advice from Gordon, but learns about why he smells bad. It's a condition.
Yeah. So after he gets the advice from Gordon and kind of worked out. Now I'm on yearbook. He decides to tell the other guys, let's go see Airplane with them.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh,
surely
forget
not.
him. Yeah, surely not. And yeah, so they were like, we don't want to do that, and so then. But Sam's a good kid, and he wants to be nice.
Friends, and
Gordon helped him out, obviously.
Yeah.
And so we learn about, he has this condition where, yes, he smells, and he knows he smells.
But I liked his line, though, because, Gordon's very, confident and okay with it. He's like, my mom says it's a blessing, kind of, brings forward the nice people and weeds out the jerks.
Yeah.
And take the step to get to know him and ask, and I'm like, wow, you make assumptions, and and I thought that was just a great character.
Yeah, and I think it's a shame that probably doesn't work out most of the time for him.
No,
but I like his optimism. I really like that. Yeah, I like that he knows himself
very well.
Yeah,
he's comfortable with himself, which is a great thing.
And more so than any of
the other
them,
geeks.
more so than Sam for sure.
Also, want to point out this is not a very heavy Neil episode.
No,
he's very, very little, Neil.
I have a story about that.
Oh, okay.
He actually wasn't in the script at all.
Oh, really?
And they didn't indicate whether or not he was like off shooting a movie or whatever. They just said originally he wasn't in the script.
Huh.
One of the heads at NBC that was reading the script said, "You gotta have Neil in the episode," and so they wrote in a couple.
You do.
So that's
you
why
really
he seems a little shoehorned in.
Yes, it doesn't that many lines. I'm like, he didn't. Yeah, very little to do this one.
He talked a little bit about the airplane bit.
Airplane bit was there. We could do exchanges.
And like at the lunch table when they're talking about the lab partners. But yes, well, and we see him a little bit in the science room when him and Bill are like. Like when Cindy comes up to talk to Sam, we see in the background like the two of them, just kind of wrestling and whatever,
little mini fighters,
and kind of like pushing each other and stuff. So they gave Neil a couple funny things to do. But yeah, originally he wasn't in this episode at all. Actually,
did you? I don't know if you remember. Did you pick up on the David Lynch reference in this one?
No. Oh wait, did they talk about Dune?
No, it's a little before Dune.
Okay.
But I thought it was cool, and it definitely made sure that it was 1980 and I thought it was very cool how sophisticated Lindsay is because she basically asked Nick out on a date to go see the Elephant Man.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, the Elephant Man. Oh, okay. So that was actually her date idea.
They're very
time
sensitive, time specific. Between the music and all of the cultural references, Airplane would have been in theaters then. Like everything is meticulous.
I just like that. Like Elephant Man, and that's okay. Well, that's cool.
Something that bothers me very often about
when they don't get things right. But this is like probably done like within months or weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think they really, really have it very specific.
But I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
that was very. I like the reference. Like they're talking about when they're going to get older, and Bill's like, I'm going to be like, maxed out like the Hulk. That was good.
Yeah,
that's
good Hulk reference.
Good little references.
All right, so then the end of that storyline,
which is
they go to
the burger joint.
All too familiar.
All too familiar feeling. I feel like a lot of people can. Oh man, I was crushed.
Joe had it happen so many times.
Damn. A handful of times.
They went to the burger place. He was hoping maybe this would be some sort of date.
I kind of thought it was too. I don't know why I thought that. I don't know why I thought that.
It was sort of presented that way by her.
All right, because she
doesn't know that he likes her.
Okay, all right.
She's so clued out.
I thought she knew something, but okay, I was wrong. When she goes, she basically sort of asks him out to sneak off to the burger joint. And like, oh, I thought you liked healthy food. No, I like fries and burgers and stuff. And he's like, okay, they do that.
Yeah.
And she says, oh, do you know this, football player guy?
And the football players come in.
Gave me his number. Oh, he gave you the number. And he's like, oh, but he hasn't called me. What do you think that is? Like, I don't know, he's shy or something. It's like, oh, he's really cute, don't you think? Like, oh, no.
Yeah, you would just the feeling of your heart sinking.
I was like, oh man, you're in the. All right,
we've had it so many times.
I know. I feel like the term isn't very popular. Is this a sort of friend zone situation thing? I don't know why people hate that. Why do people hate that term so much?
Well, because nobody wants to be friends with a person.
I know, but it's like there's like
people have enough friends in the world.
Like he says, I've got two friends.
Yeah, like I agree with that. Like I talk, still to this day. I mean, I'm a single guy, and I talk to people, and it's like so often if it's just there's no connection, or somebody will be like, oh, well, we can be friends, or if they're not gay and they're not interested for that reason, they're like, oh, we can be friends. It's just like,
well, that's
dude, I got plenty of friends. Like I don't, and I think Sam feels the same way. I think Sam is just like
comfortable with his friends.
Yeah, like I want more friends. I like you. Now look in future episodes we may see something else happen, but
sure. But at this moment,
for this episode, he is heartbroken. He's stuck in the friend zone.
But he likes being this close to her and likes that, and doesn't, and even is talking with her at the end, like, about, oh, he said this, and it's like
I have.
It's sad.
While we're still on this subject, we'll talk about it. But when we get to that last scene, I have an alternate ending that is on the DVD that we'll talk about.
Okay.
And I like this one better.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he's definitely been friend zoned. She had no idea that this was in his mind some sort of maybe date, which to us it seemed like it. To Gordon it seemed like it.
It was presented. Yeah, Gordon even thought so.
Gordon thought it was. So here we are, and it is clearly not. She's talking to him about these boys she liked, and then they come in and the whole thing.
Yeah, but he still wants to be around.
Well,
He's
sure.
got hopes, and it's like it's a nice feeling, I guess.
Well, I think he's sort of in that zone of like, I want to still have this person in my life, but
not really sure.
I don't know if she's ever going to come around. But I think, as we all did at 14 and 15 and 20 and 25, you really have hope that the other person's going to come around, and you just think, oh, if I keep being there for this person, if I keep doing things for this person, they're going to realize that I'm the one. Doesn't work. Never works. Has it ever worked in the history of time? We don't know.
I'm sure there's some people it has, but like generally speaking, if somebody's not interested pretty quickly, it just doesn't usually work.
Yeah. Now we'll see.
Kids,
in future episodes that maybe something will change, but
it doesn't look
generally
good. Outlook not good.
Right. Outlook not so good. Generally, it's not the best thing, but people do it because
they don't.
They want the person in their life, and they hope maybe they'll come around. Right?
That's sad. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Yeah, I feel bad.
Is it real or is it real?
It's very real. That's why it's sad. You're like, Sam, oh man, that sucks.
And this is, I think we can all agree, even though we didn't know him before this season, I think this is probably the first girl that he's really crushing on.
Oh, big time. First big crush. Certainly the one that's had an exchange with him of any kind.
Right, right. So, all right, so we get to that final scene where they're in the kitchen.
They're talking.
Yeah.
Brother and sister talking. And he's kind of asking, oh, you guys going out? Like, yeah, I guess we kind of are. She's got her whole thing. And
I love that chat. It's just like an unwinding of like...
we're letting our steam off about our day, sharing things. Like, okay, well, like, you're, with sending out, no, she's not really into me. And,
yeah, that didn't work out.
And then he's like, oh, that really sucks. Like, she's been there, kind of.
Right.
Like, that, like, I feel for you.
Who hasn't?
I do like when they're... But that's also a great thing for her, because she, after her whole event,
right,
she just comes home, and you kind of remind, like, she's going through the transition of growing up, becoming a woman, but when she comes home, you know what, she's still a kid. Give me one of the ding-dongs, please. And they munch on that, and he's talking to the phone, she's like, right, kind of like messing with him a little. They're still like,
he wraps the cord around his
like,
neck to
just
kill
kill me
himself.
now.
Yeah.
Like, I like that little playfulness they said as brother and sister was nice.
Well, and I think it was helpful for Lindsay, too, after this night that she had, to sort of realize, like, oh, well, at least Nick has feelings for me. Like, Nick wants to be with me.
That's nice.
I could be brokenhearted right now, like my poor little brother,
So that's something good she can look at and have something positive.
And sort of help Sam on his journey, because obviously she's been there, before with other people.
Yeah.
So the original final scene, similar, kitchen, talking on the phone with Cindy. No Lindsay, though.
Oh.
He comes home, phone rings, it's her, and he's eating, and he just ends up putting the phone down to basically not even listen, and every so often just kind of leaning into the phone and saying, oh, okay, oh, wow, that kind of thing. It makes him, I don't know, kind of like a dick.
All right, Dan, to be fair, I think we've all done it.
We've all done it.
We've all done it.
And obviously he's got some mixed feelings about what just transpired.
But you know what? I think if they did that, maybe it wouldn't have been a more upbeat ending, but it would have been I would have accepted it. I think because he would have probably been pretty upset and was like, I want to be with this girl, but I don't really care about her issues. But this is probably the better ending, because it says, okay, even though I don't like this, I still like this girl, and on some level I want to help her.
And I think that's
for her.
Yeah, I think that's why they switched it up. Regardless of Lindsay being present in the scene or not, I think the reason they switched it up to, like, he's actually going to talk to her and listen to her problems is because he is really trying the, if I'm a nice guy.
He's trying the slow game.
Yes.
The waiting game.
Slow game. So, we'll see how that pans out. One other note about the episode that they did change from the original idea was, a lot of things are based on the real lives of Paul Feig specifically, but a couple other people. But the whole farting thing sort of happened to Paul Feig in a different sense. And here's what happened. So he was a little older. He was like 20, 21. At a bar. And, going out with this gal. She went to go to the bathroom to pee. The door was broken. And he heard her, like, peeing really loudly. And for some reason, it was like this big turn off. and he was going to originally have them either in school or at someone's house peeing, and Sam was going to hear it because, of course, he doesn't even believe she farts. Like, he doesn't think she's... So, he's going to overhear this and just get turned off immediately and not know what to do, that, oh my gosh, girls pee too, this kind of thing.
It's one of those innocent things, and I wonder if girls think about that too, because you see, I think, even though I guess I knew that anatomically it had to be the same, but for some reason I never, the idea of like a girl pooping when I was growing up was just like, no, they don't poop.
It's funny, when I was doing the teen leadership program at the Y, a lot of the kids had this sort of mantra that girls don't poop.
It's like they're not gross like that. They just disappears when they eat.
Boys just don't think about it because they don't want to. I mean, pooping is a gross thing, even though everyone does it. Every animal does it. Every person does it. Yep. But for somehow it's like it just disappears, like you said.
It's a cultural weird thing that's true. Yeah.
So Apatow told him he couldn't have that in the script. He said that's a little too graphic for people to be thinking about at 8 p.m. on Saturday night. He said, why don't we change it to farting?
That's definitely a Judd Apatow movie later. Oh, man. He's so loud.
In fact, I wouldn't be surprised. I can't remember all of his scenes, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was in
some
knocked up or something that I'm just not remembering.
It probably
But yeah, so that was what the original thing was. But I like this better because Bill was the one who got to hear it.
Oh, it's great.
And then Sam didn't believe him.
Yeah, you really didn't. Like, no, she didn't fart. You're lying. You want to keep her for yourself.
Yeah, because you want to keep her to yourself. Yeah. All right. So, what else can we talk about? That's it, I think, about this episode.
That's pretty much it.
We were trying to keep this under the actual time of the episode.
We've still failed.
Maybe once you throw the commercials out, we failed. But it's close. It's a lot closer than the hour-longs we've had.
Yes.
We've had some long discussions about Freaks and Geeks.
Until we keep talking and making it longer.
I know. I could talk another blue streak about it. But that's really all I have about the episode. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I had a question. There was a poster in Sam's room. I didn't know who it was. The guy in the top hat. Was that like a comedian? I wanted to say Burgess Meredith, but I don't think so. I didn't know who that was supposed to be.
I will have to look.
Because I was really like, I wonder if Dan knows, because that big black and white poster, and I was like, I wanted to say the Penguin but I don't think that's who it was.
Let me see if the booklet has any pictures of his room up close.
I'm trying to make the video longer, people. So
I know, you really are.
But I was curious.
If not, I'll have to look next time I
let me know
the
next
episode.
Yeah.
Because, they don't change the posters out of his room. That Steve Martin poster is a classic. Okay, so far no shots of his room.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Some of these are more like behind the scenes, it looks like. There's the Halloween costumes. All right, no. I'll have to look and let you know.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't know who that poster was of. Some old actor or something.
Probably. I mean, knowing him, if it could be... oh, wait, I know exactly what poster you're talking about.
With the big top hat.
Yes.
Yeah. Who is that?
That's a great question. I think I always thought it was Oliver Hardy.
Oh.
From Laurel and Hardy. Mm-hmm. But maybe it's not.
I wasn't sure.
All right, we'll look into that and find out.
Next time you'll find out.
Next time on the Freaks and Geeks review. I always kind of thought it was Oliver Hardy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You might be right.
I definitely think it's a black and white movie star.
Yeah, it's an older one.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's our assignment then. But we'll be back next week with a new episode. We should grade this one. Before we forget. Sometimes we forget to grade them.
Oh, yeah.
This one is a high one for me. We've had a couple of ones in the B+ range recently.
I actually really like this one. I feel like it's very simple in comparison to some of the ones we've graded high, but like I said, the way they handled Lindsay and just the acting from her, just how realistic that discomfort and uncertainty and mixture of emotion was just amazing. And then Sam's whole storyline was also very true, but with Bill, there was a good subversion.
Everybody's whole storyline was good, though. Even Gordon
was really good.
Gets a little bit, and that was a good storyline. It was
a good story, too.
And
the father had some great parts.
Yeah, the father, of course, had some great parts.
Guidance
Finally got to
counselor
see
was
the store. So, I mean, this for me is definitely up there as one of the better ones. I think I would give this one an A.
Okay. All right. I was thinking A-, so explain to me the A. Maybe I'll agree with you.
I just can't think of too much that is wrong with it. I mean, they took two very basic
Standard
teen TV show premises: losing your virginity and the unrequited love.
Yeah.
And they turned both of them completely on their heads.
Yeah.
And just made it something very, very unique and memorable that not too many shows can think of. I mean, the virginity plotline has been done countless times.
Yeah.
And they did, a couple really, really brand new things with it and really showed us the emotions that a person might go through in that situation, and made it the whole, like, he's been around the block a couple of times, she's brand new to it, that we don't usually see either, like we talked about.
Also very common.
So
you're right. No, it definitely is. I guess I was just like, I know that some of them we've been like, they're really big talkers, a lot going on. And I don't know, I guess maybe that's why, but you're right, there's really nothing wrong with it. I thought it was quite good. I liked it quite a bit. I think an A's
I think an A is pretty good.
Pretty satisfactory. Great,
And for the first time in a while, we really did have an even Steven split with the Freaks and the Geeks.
And
a nice resolution in the kitchen at the end.
I like it when it's balanced like that. That's true.
So, can't argue with that.
No, I won't. I agree.
It's an A, everybody.
I agree. I'll only ever fight you if I really disagree. I'm like, all right.
If it's a D, it's a D. I don't think we'll have any here.
I haven't seen them all,
but
I'm waiting for that Ben Stiller one. I'll be like, terrible.
I just think it's just forced. It's too forced.
Does Leslie Mann ever show up in this?
I don't think so. I think this is before they met.
Oh.
I don't know if that's true, but I think it might be before they met. But I don't think she's in it. So there you go. All right, well, that's it. All right, now we're over 50 minutes. So we're almost to that hour. We could talk another 10 minutes about the Stick song or whatever. But no, I think we'll wrap it there. Thanks so much for watching. We will be back next week with another wonderful Freaks and Geeks Friday. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye-bye.